I just don't know what to do.
For 12 long years, Amara Okonkwo had dreamed about this moment. Not the applause that followed her when she spoke at business conferences in London. Not the luxury apartment overlooking the river. Not the polished award sitting in a glass case with her name engraved beneath the words Entrepreneur of the Year. No. The moment she had replayed in her mind over and over again was much simpler than that. She would step out of the airport in Lagos. She would keep her return a secret. She would ride all the way to Enugu without telling a soul. And then she would appear at the small family house where she had grown up, carrying gifts, carrying gratitude, carrying success, like a daughter finally coming home to say, "Mama, we made it." Because in Amara's mind, her mother was still there, still sitting on that old wooden chair outside the compound in the evenings, still peeling cassava with tired but steady hands, still smiling the same smile she wore even on days when there was no money, no meat in the soup, no light, and almost no hope. Amara had left Nigeria at 22 with one suitcase, a borrowed coat, and the kind of fear that made her stomach ache every night. But she had not left because she wanted adventure. She had left because her mother had sold almost everything she had to send her abroad. A pair of gold earrings given to her on her wedding day, half of the family land, her only sewing machine, and finally, the little provisions shop that had fed them for years. "Go," her mother had told her, forcing courage into her voice. "Do not look back for me. If one person can rise in this family, let it be you." Amara remembered crying that night. She remembered kneeling on the cracked floor and promising, "Mama, I will come back for you. I swear. One day I'll give you the life you deserve." Her mother had smiled and touched her cheek. "I don't need a big life," she said softly. "I only need to know my daughter did not break." That sentence carried Amara through winters, insults, loneliness, visa troubles, double shifts, and humiliations that would have buried a weaker person. She cleaned offices at dawn, studied during the day, packed boxes in a warehouse at night. Sometimes she slept only 3 hours. Sometimes she ate once a day. Sometimes she cried in public toilets where nobody knew her name. But she did not break. Years passed. Then struggle turned into stability. Stability turned into opportunity. Opportunity turned into a business. And the business turned into money. Real money. Not overnight, not by luck, by blood, discipline, and refusal. And now she was back. Her flight touched down just after sunset. The humid Nigerian air wrapped around her like memory itself. The smell of fuel, dust, roasted corn, and rain rising from the road hit her chest so hard she nearly cried before leaving the airport. Her driver, a polite young man hired for the trip to Enugu, loaded her luggage into a black SUV. 2 large suitcases, a handbag, and 1 velvet box she guarded more carefully than all the rest. Inside that box was the deed to a new house. Not rented, not mortgaged, bought in full. A white bungalow with a red roof, a quiet compound, fruit trees, and enough space for her mother to wake up every morning in peace. Amara had also brought clothes, medicine, imported tea, a new phone, reading glasses, soft shoes for her mother's aching knees, and an envelope containing more money than her mother had ever held at once in her life. Everything was ready. Everything except what she was about to see. The road into Enugu was longer than she remembered. At first, she thought maybe it was because London had changed her sense of time, or maybe because every street seemed to pull an old memory out of her like thread from cloth. A school gate, a broken kiosk, the church where her father had been buried, the junction where she used to wait for buses with exact change in her hand. Her father had died when she was 13. After that, it had been only Amara and her mother against the world. Her mother had become everything at once: mother, father, protector, provider, prayer warrior, human shield. And yet, over the years, their calls had become fewer. Not because there was no love, because there was pain. At first, Amara called every week. Then work grew harder. Then the time difference became an excuse. Then every conversation with home began to sound the same. "I'm fine, my daughter." "Are you eating well, Mama?" Yes, don't worry." "Do you need money?" "No, keep building your life." Sometimes her mother's voice sounded tired, sometimes too cheerful, sometimes strangely distant. Amara sent money when she could. Then, when she could send more, her mother refused larger amounts. "I'm managing," she always said. Amara assumed pride was the reason. She never imagined the truth. When they finally turned into her old street, Amara leaned forward in excitement. But then she frowned. The house looked wrong. The zinc roof was rusted darker than before. The front wall had a crack running down one side. The small blue gate hung crookedly. And the compound, once swept clean every morning by her mother, looked abandoned. No light burned inside. No radio. No neighbor's child calling, "Auntie!" Nothing. Amara stepped out before the driver fully stopped the car. Her heart began to pound. She pushed open the gate. The sound it made, dry, weak, almost broken, sent fear climbing through her body. "Mama?" she called. Silence. "Mama!" Still nothing. She rushed to the door. Locked. She knocked harder. A woman from the neighboring compound emerged, wrapping a scarf around her shoulders. At first, she squinted, not recognizing the elegant woman in heels and a tailored cream coat. Then her mouth dropped open. "Amara?" Amara turned. "Auntie Beatrice, where is my mother?" The woman's expression changed. Not joy, not surprise. Something worse. Pity. Amara's chest tightened immediately. "Where is she?" Amara repeated, louder this time. Auntie Beatrice hesitated. You didn't tell her you were coming?" "No, I wanted to surprise her." "Where is my mother?" The older woman looked away. Then she spoke the words Amara would never forget. "She no longer lives here." For a moment, the world lost sound. Amara stared. "What do you mean she doesn't live here?" Auntie Beatrice swallowed. "After the landlord issues, after the debts, after she became weak, she left this place months ago." Amara felt cold despite the heat. "Debts? What debts? I've been sending money." Auntie Beatrice's eyes filled with discomfort. "Come inside my compound. This is not a road conversation." "No," Amara snapped. "Tell me now." The old woman lowered her voice. "Your mother works nights." Amara blinked. "Works Where? At a shopping mall near Independence Layout. A pause. She cleans there. The sentence hit like a physical blow. Amara took a step back. No. No, that was impossible. Her mother was over 60. Her knees were bad. Her back had troubled her for years. And Amara had sent money. Maybe not enough at first, but later more. Much more. Why would her mother be cleaning a mall at night? Why would she leave the house? Why had nobody told her? Take me there, Amara said. Amara, it's late. Take me there. The drive to the mall felt endless. The city lights blurred past her window, but she barely saw them. Her mind raced wildly, latching on to possibilities and rejecting each one in turn. Maybe it was a misunderstanding. Maybe her mother only helped there occasionally. Maybe she supervised. Maybe she worked at a kiosk nearby. Maybe Auntie Beatrice had exaggerated. But beneath those desperate lies, one terrible thought kept rising. What if I failed her? The mall was still open on the lower floor, but many shops had already closed. Security lights cast cold pools of white across the parking lot. At the rear entrance, workers moved in and out quietly. Amara stepped from the car, her heels clicking sharply against the pavement. The expensive perfume, the tailored clothes, the polished luggage still in the car. Everything about her screamed privilege now. She hated it. A security guard stopped her. "Madam, cleaning staff only this side." "I'm looking for someone," she said. "Name?" "Ngozi Okonkwo." He frowned. "Mama Ngozi?" Amara's heart skipped. "Yes." The guard's face softened. He pointed down a service corridor. "Last section, near the food court washrooms." Amara walked fast, then faster, then almost ran. The corridor smelled of detergent and wet tile. The bright backlights made everything look too harsh, too exposed. She passed plastic buckets, yellow caution signs, cartons stacked against walls, a leaking pipe. Two young workers laughing softly over something on a phone. And then she saw her. A small, bent figure in a faded uniform. Rubber gloves too large for her hands. Back curved from exhaustion. Mop in one hand, a bucket beside her. Her mother. Cleaning the floor. At midnight. For 1 second, Amara stopped breathing. This could not be the same woman who once carried sacks of rice on her head, who once sold food in the rain, who once stood in church and sang louder than the choir, though she had tears in her eyes. This woman looked thinner, smaller, worn down by forces too quiet to leave visible scars, but powerful enough to erase dignity, piece by piece. "Mama," Amara whispered. Her mother did not hear. Amara stepped forward. "Mama." The mop stopped moving. Slowly, the older woman turned, and their eyes met. The bucket slipped from her mother's hand and crashed sideways, sending gray water across the floor. For a second, neither of them moved. Then her mother's lips trembled. "Amara?" The word came out like prayer, fear, and disbelief all at once. Amara ran to her. Their bodies collided in a desperate, shaking embrace. Her mother dropped the mop completely and clung to her with both arms, sobbing like a woman whose heart had been holding back a flood for years. "My daughter, my daughter, my daughter." Amara could not even answer at first. She just held her tighter, smelling bleach on her clothes, feeling how light she had become, feeling bones where strength used to be. "What is this?" Amara choked out. "Mama, what is this? Why are you here? Why are you doing this?" Her mother pulled back, wiping tears with the back of her wrist, suddenly ashamed. "Don't look at me like this," she whispered. "Please." "Like what?" "Like I'm broken." Amara's face crumpled. "You're cleaning floors at midnight." Several workers had stopped to watch. A supervisor approached, irritated at first. "What is happening here? Why is there—" Then he saw Amara's mother crying. He saw Amara in her expensive clothes. He saw the spilled, dirty water. And something in his expression shifted. Amara turned sharply to him. "How long has she been working here?" The man looked uncomfortable. "Madam, maybe we should talk outside." "How long?" He exhaled. "Almost 8 months." 8 months. Amara stared as if struck. 8 months her mother had been doing night cleaning while she imagined her resting safely at home. 8 months. "Why?" Amara asked, turning back to her mother. "Why would you do this when I sent money?" Her mother lowered her eyes. "It didn't always come." Amara stiffened. "What?" "At first it came small, then sometimes not for months. I knew you were struggling. Later, when bigger amounts started coming, things had already become difficult." "What things?" Her mother looked as though each answer cost her pride. "The landlord increased rent. I borrowed to cover medicine. Then your cousin Chike came with trouble." Amara closed her eyes. Chike. Even hearing his name made her stomach twist. Her father's nephew, always scheming, always polite in front of elders, always hungry for what belonged to others. What did he do? Her mother hesitated. "He said he was helping." Amara laughed bitterly. "Of course he did. He convinced me to join a contribution business. He said if I put in the money you sent, it would grow. He said we could buy back part of the family land. He said he knew people. I believed him." Amara's voice dropped to a whisper. "He stole it." Her mother said nothing. That silence was answer enough. Amara covered her mouth. All those years, all those missed calls, all those vague conversations, all those times her mother had insisted she was fine. Not because she was fine, because she was protecting her daughter from guilt, and because shame had trapped her. "Why didn't you tell me?" Amara asked, tears rolling freely now. Her mother looked at her with unbearable tenderness. "Because every time I heard your voice, I remembered the girl who left with one thin sweater and hope in her eyes. I knew what it cost you to survive there. I told myself, let her stand first. Let her breathe first. Let her build something first." She touched Amara's face. "I never wanted my suffering to become the rope that dragged you backward." Amara broke. Not the polished London businesswoman, not the composed public speaker, just a daughter, a child again. Read this as a single-speaker cinematic storyteller narration in James' voice. Keep delivery slightly fast, flowing, and emotionally intense. Minimize pauses throughout. Do not perform as dialogue between different actors. Maintain one consistent narrator voice only. She fell to her knees right there on the wet floor and held her mother around the waist. And for the first time in years, she cried without restraint. "I'm sorry," she sobbed. "I'm sorry I wasn't here. I'm sorry I didn't know. I'm sorry." Her mother bent painfully and stroked her hair. "You came back," she said. "That is enough." But Amara knew it was not enough. Not yet. Because something inside her had shifted the moment she saw her mother with that mop. And when something like that shifts in a daughter who has power, money, memory, and love all colliding at once, someone always pays. She rose slowly and turned to the supervisor. My mother is done here. The man blinked. Madam? She will never work another night in this building again. The supervisor nodded carefully. We can process resignation. No, Amara said, voice now calm in the most dangerous way. Process whatever you like, but listen carefully. She is leaving now. The younger workers looked at one another in stunned silence. Her mother tugged lightly at Amara's sleeve. My shift. I said you are leaving. Mama, I need the salary. Amara opened her handbag, pulled out a thick envelope, and pressed it into her mother's hands. Count it later. Her mother stared. What is this? Your first peaceful month, Amara said. They left the mall together, but the story did not end there, because betrayal was still breathing somewhere in that city. And Amara had not forgotten the name, Chike. The next morning, after her mother had slept for nearly 10 hours in a hotel suite she entered like someone afraid to touch luxury, Amara began to ask questions. Quietly, methodically. She spoke to Auntie Beatrice again, then an old church member, then a former tenant, then a local shop owner who knew everyone's business better than any newspaper. Piece by piece, the truth emerged. Chike had indeed taken her mother's money. Not only that, he had used her mother's trust to pressure her into signing documents she barely understood. One of them gave him temporary control over the remaining family plot. Another tied her to a debt through a fake cooperative scheme. When the investment vanished, creditors began to harass her. To avoid public disgrace, her mother sold furniture, jewelry, and finally left the rented house. And Chike? He had upgraded his life. New SUV, new apartment, new clothes. Too much sudden comfort for a man with no legitimate business. Amara sat still after hearing all of this. Too still. Her assistant in London once said the most frightening thing about Amara was not when she shouted. It was when she went quiet. That afternoon, she dressed simply in black, tied back her hair, and went to see him. Chike welcomed her with fake shock and louder fake joy. Amara, London girl, you came and didn't tell me. She looked around his sitting room. Leather sofa, large television, imported drinks, fresh paint. Nice, very nice. Where did the money come from? She asked. He laughed. Ah, at least sit down first. Where did the money come from? His smile thinned. You know, I do many things. Stealing from widows? Mind your words. My mother is not a widow to you. She is the woman who fed you when your own mother couldn't. His jaw tightened. I helped her. Amara gave a single cold laugh. Say that again, and I will make sure you regret having a tongue. That unsettled him. He had expected tears, maybe begging, maybe emotional confusion. He had not expected a woman who now looked at him like a problem to be eliminated. You people go abroad and come back arrogant, he muttered. If she gave me money, she did it willingly. Business failed. That is life. Then we'll let police, lawyers, and the economic and financial crimes people discuss your version of life. His face changed instantly. So she had guessed right. He was afraid. Good. Amara placed copies of documents on the table. I already spoke to a lawyer this morning, she said. I also know the signatures on 2 of these papers were obtained through misrepresentation. I know the cooperative was fake. I know at least 2 others were deceived the same way. And I know your car is not in your name because you're hiding assets. Sweat gathered near his temple. You think because you have accent now, you can threaten me? No, she said softly. I think because I have evidence now, I can ruin you. Silence filled the room. He stared at her, searching for weakness. He found none. Then he tried one final weapon, the weapon cowards love most. He smirked. If your mother was truly suffering, why didn't she tell you? Maybe even she knew you had abandoned her. The slap came before he finished the sentence. Sharp, clean, unforgettable. Chike stumbled sideways in shock. Amara stepped closer, voice deadly low. You will return every naira you stole. You will sign back every paper you manipulated. You will apologize to my mother in my presence. And after that, you will pray I choose mercy. Within 1 week, his car was gone. Within 2 weeks, legal pressure forced full reversal of the land transfer. Within a month, restitution began. But none of that mattered as much as what happened at home, at real home. Amara moved her mother into the new house herself. The day they arrived, her mother stood frozen at the gate. The bungalow gleamed softly in the late afternoon sun. Flowers lined the walkway. Inside were polished floors, wide windows, a proper kitchen, clean guest rooms, and a bedroom prepared exactly to her taste. Soft curtains, low bed, framed family photos, Bible on the bedside table, and a reading chair placed beside a window that opened toward mango trees. Mama, Amara said gently, placing the keys in her hand. This one is yours. Her mother shook her head immediately. No, this is too much. Amara smiled through tears. No, this is too little for what you gave me. Her mother stepped inside slowly, touching walls as if checking whether they were real. When she entered the bedroom, she sat on the edge of the bed and cried quietly. Not dramatic crying, the kind that comes when pain finally realizes it is safe enough to leave. That evening they ate together on the veranda. For the first time in years, there was no rush in the air, no pretending, no hiding, no survival performance. Just mother and daughter. At one point, her mother looked at her and said, When I was cleaning that mall, do you know what hurt me most? Amara shook her head. It was not the work, she said. Work has never shamed me. Poverty has never shamed me. What hurt me was thinking maybe my daughter would return one day and find only the remains of my struggle. Amara reached for her hand. I did return, she whispered, and I found your strength. Her mother smiled. No, you found your roots. Months later, people in the neighborhood still spoke about the night Amara came back. About the mall worker who turned out to be the mother of a millionaire. About the greedy relative who fell from sudden luxury. About the quiet old woman now living in a beautiful house with flowers at the gate and peace in her bones. But the part nobody talked about was the most important. Some nights, Amara would wake and walk past her mother's room just to check. And every time she heard that soft, steady breathing from behind the door, something inside her would finally rest. Because success had once meant escaping. Now it meant returning in time. And if you ever drive through that part of Enugu at sunset, you may see them outside together. A dignified older woman in a clean wrapper, sipping tea. Her daughter beside her. No heels now. No speeches. No cameras. Just listening. Sometimes they say little. Sometimes they laugh. Sometimes silence itself says enough. And if you ask Amara what the greatest achievement of her life is, she will not mention London. She will not mention wealth. She will not mention her company. She will tell you it was the night she found the woman who built her, still standing, even with a mop in her hand, and made sure she would never have to carry that burden again. Because some mothers do not wear crowns. They wear faded uniforms. They hide hunger behind smiles. They protect their children with lies that sound like comfort, and they call it love. Until one day, love comes back for them, and this time, it does not come empty-handed.